immigration policies, supply management, Multicultural Act, income taxes, doing politics differently, the mainstream media, and Canadian politics as a whole. Before I introduce our guests, I would like to share with you a few fitting quotes from the great Wilfrid Laurier, who once said, "We are here a nation composed of the most heterogeneous elements, Protestants and Catholics, English, French, German, Irish, Scots, everyone, let it be remembered, with his traditions, with his prejudices. In each of these conflicting antagonistic elements, however, there is a common spot of patriotism, and the only true policy is that which reaches that common patriotism and makes it vibrate in all towards common ends and common aspirations." And also another quote, which is probably one of his most famous ones, is, "Canada is free and freedom is its nationality." And now, I would like to welcome to the stage someone who might appear a little rough around the edges, but is unabashedly truthful, always tells it like it is. Someone who is not afraid to put on his work boots every day and go out and earn an honest living to help support his family and improve his community. Someone who is no stranger to local politics, but who is the politician that this community needs now, the Sarnia Oct People's Party of Canada candidate, Brian Everard.
Hi everyone, it's an honor to be here. Hey Andy, how are you, Bill? Hey, Bob. I just have to say, it's such an honor to have the leader of the PPC in Sarnia Lambton. On the way down here, we took a ride along the river. I took him by the refineries. I took him by the businesses that drive this economy in Sarnia Lambton. I know he cares because he's here. So we're gonna sit down and talk. I just want you all to know that I'm so happy that you would all come out and support us and the PPC, or somebody who's coming to get some answers or want to ask some questions. Ask the tough questions, do it. If you're in here and you're really trying to find out what's going on with this party, go ahead. Don't be scared after we're done getting some questions up here to ask. And with that, I'll give it back to Jean-Marc.
Thank you, Brian. Next, I would like to welcome to the stage someone who needs no introduction, but I'll give him one anyways. A man who had the guts to call one of the most popular parties in Canadian politics morally and intellectually corrupt. A man who put his entire political career on the line and risked his reputation to stand up for what he believes in. A man with the courage and conviction to, against all odds, venture out on his own and form the fastest growing party in Canadian history. He has the leadership qualities that this country wants and deserves. He is the leader of the People's Party of Canada, Maxime Bernier.
Okay, making sure the mics are on.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, like that is better.
Hey. Thank you for being here, gentlemen. The Sarnia EDA has prepared some questions that I'll ask first, and then once we get through those, we can go ahead and take questions from the audience, and then after that, the media if they would like.
Perfect.
Okay, first question. Why is freedom of expression or freedom of speech so important, and how is it threatened in Canada today?
Yes, because it is the foundation of all freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of expression. And with what happened right now on campuses, that you may not have the freedom that you're supposed to have when you are a student at university. And one of our platform commitment is to be sure that when post-secondary institution like university they are receiving funds from the federal government. They will have to sign a pledge that they will have a free speech policy, and they will also be sure to enforce that policy. It is sad that in 2019, you have a political party at the federal level that must have a free speech policy. We are in a free country. We are in a real democracy, and we must have a free speech policy in our platform. And yes, we have a free speech policy. And you know, in Ottawa, at the last parliament, they had a discussion between the Conservative and the Liberal to bring back the section 13 of the Human Rights Act. That's a section with a new definition of hate speech. But for us, we said that we don't need a new definition for hate speech. We have one definition in the criminal code that is very efficient. So it's only a way to curtail our freedom. And that's why, you know, I voted against that section 13 when I was a conservative a couple of years ago. And now they want to bring back that section. When I'm saying they, the Liberal Party of Canada at the last parliament, but they were not successful. But they wanted to bring back that section 13 with a new definition of hate speech. So for us, it's so important to have free speech in this country. And for us, free speech, it is maybe something that you won't like to hear. I don't have the obligation to please you when I'm telling you what I believe in. And free speech, it is not hate speech. And in a democracy, for having real debate, you need to have that freedom. And yes, we will be sure that nobody will bring back that section 13, and will stick to the definition of the criminal code. So that's too important to have debates. And same thing for Bill C-16. You know, we passed a bill at the legislation, I voted against that, to force a person to use pronouns if you are speaking to a trans individual. That person has the right to do what they want to do with their own life, their own body, and that's freedom, that's okay. But I don't have an obligation to use pronouns that doesn't exist. To be polite with that person. If I want to use it, perfect. If I don't want to use it, it's okay. And it's all the debate that Jordan Peterson started a couple of years ago here in Canada. So I'm 100% with Jordan on that, and we will repeal that bill also to be sure that we'll have a real freedom of expression in this country.
Yeah. I think that we were up in Hamilton the other night. We had a very good rally up there. And there was a bunch of people outside the rally that were gathered at the door. So I watched Max almost get clawed going in there. I mean, but those people, even though they're speaking against us, it's funny that we don't say they shouldn't be there. Because it's about being free, right? So we're not going to stand and say they shouldn't be there. Some of the tactics get a little underhanded, but I've seen it with the PPC. Everybody gets their voice, and even the ones that are screaming against us, we're not trying to silence, and we don't want to and never would. So that'd be my statement on the free speech issue.
Max, can you just check, make sure your mic is on? Thank you. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. The second question that we have here, why are there taboo topics in politics that people don't want to talk about? And how do we start that conversation about these difficult issues?
Oh my God. You know, because we have traditional politicians that are doing politics based on polling and survey. And you know, if there's only 20% of the population that agree with the subject, for them it's a taboo subject because there's not a majority. But the way to do politics, it is very important for us to convince people to be out there and to speak about what we believe. I'll give you an example. A taboo subject in Canada right now, it is the immigration file, speaking about immigration. But it must not be a taboo subject, because as you know, 49% of Canadians agree that we must have fewer immigrants and more economic immigrants. But I don't know, our opponent and the other leaders don't want to have a discussion about that. It's always more and more and more. But at 350,000 newcomers a year, Canada will receive per capita more legal immigrants than any other Western society. Yeah. And at 150,000 a year, that's our number, with 50% of them being economic immigrants, we will receive the same level of immigrants than the US and all European countries. So we're not for mass immigration, we're not anti-immigration, we are just for an immigration system that will fulfill our economic needs and be sustainable for the future. And look what happened in Europe, and I'm sure you can see that in the news. In some countries over there, France, Belgium, UK, they have some challenges to integrate their immigrants. We don't have any problem here right now, and we don't want to have any problem in the future. So that's why we need to have the discussion right now. It's time to have the discussion. But for the mainstream media, for the traditional politician, speaking about immigration, it's taboo. It's like speaking against the corporate welfare program that we have in this country. You know, we're the only one and the only party that said we must end corporate welfare. That's not fair for small business entrepreneurs. I'm sure that the business person here won't receive subsidies of $1 million like a big corporation, but you are paying taxes. So a fair policy, it's a flat tax on business, and it will be fair for everybody. But it's a taboo subject in Canada because politicians, they used to pander to every special interest group. So they want to pander to the entrepreneurs who receive these subsidies. But for me, I'm telling them, you know, you're a good entrepreneur. We will help every entrepreneur in this country by having a flat tax, a 10% flat tax for everybody. So that's a fair policy. So taboo subject for us does not exist, and we need to put aside the extreme political correctness, and that's what we are doing. And also I must add, some of our candidates can do some mistake because they are free to express their point of view, and that's okay. And that's okay, you know. We're not perfect. We're not perfect, and but the goal is to speak about what we believe with passion and conviction, and that's our way we're doing politics.
And that's the thing is, I think a lot of times people wanna, they confuse feelings with facts, and a lot of times we run, people will fly off the handle, just to put it bluntly, over something someone said, when it's about feelings and emotion. But if they sit back and take a look at the facts or the evidence as to why it was said, they understand, but they seem to go past that. And lately, it seems like the media is right on board with that. Obviously, we have a party here that is talking about defunding certain media outlets in the country, and mainly the CBC. And I'm telling you, there's very, very few stories about the BBC and the CBC that are good. Most of the time, they're bad. I can understand if I was going to be taking money away, they know I'm on board with it. Like, I think the CBC has some good shows, don't get me wrong, but the political wing of the CBC to me is totally outrageous. They're biased, they bury stories. We talked about Max how many times, Max, have you went to events where there's 550 people, they show up, the mainstream media shows up and it doesn't even run. Yet you go down the road where Trudeau is, there's 100 people and it's all over national news all night long. So look, we got to get real with that, and it's time for Canadians to understand it. And if you're in the, I like to say, if you're in the left-leaning spectrum of politics, it's true. It's not a farce, it's true. So don't deny it, you know it's true, take a look. Like if you look at our platform and go to our website. Our platform is awesome, and it involves everyone. Like they say we're anti-immigrant, we're not anti-immigrant. 150,000 economic immigrants a year, that's a lot of immigration in Canada. In fact, I was getting asked questions about low-income housing, and everybody's all scared to admit that if we flood the country with people that don't have jobs, that it's going to take over the low-income housing. And I said, well, let's talk for real. Let's be real. If we keep flooding people in that aren't working, I'm not saying that there aren't economic immigrants. There's lots of immigrants that come in here, go to work and continue to work and contribute, but there are some other ones that we're bringing in that flood the low-income housing market, and everybody gets all upset about that. Well, that's a fact. So, I mean, when you're talking facts, if you feel bad about it and it makes you uneasy, too bad to me, because I want to talk fact and truth. It's the only way to fix something. You don't live in denial because it hurts your feelings. And that's the type of guy I am. Like, I've got thick skin. I'm a union iron worker here in Sarnia. But I know the truth, and I'm going to speak the truth. Andy's laughing down here. He knows how I speak the truth. I'm a pretty honest guy. You know, I'm not out to go after anybody. And it's about treating your fellow human being with respect. I know that. I do that. But I also talk about facts. And sometimes I can be rough around the edges, but I'm truthful. And I want people to know that.
Hey, thank you, Joe. Next question. So, People's Party of Canada is a party for the people. How do you attract the people that are traditionally from the Conservative, Liberal, NDP, or Green parties?
Yeah, first of all, I must admit that we don't do any polling at the People's Party of Canada. We don't do any survey. And when we have a new member, we don't ask them if he's coming from the Liberals or Conservative or another political party. We are very pleased to have the support of Canadians from different political backgrounds. And so that being said, when I'm traveling across the country, I'm asking that question. So why are you supporting us? Why are you involved with the People's Party of Canada? And a rough average, I must admit that maybe 35 to 45 of our supporters are former conservative that are coming with us. They like our platform on balancing the budget, on cutting corporate welfare, cutting the foreign aid. And so we have a lot of them that are coming with us. But also, I can tell you, in Alberta, it's pretty rare, but in Alberta, one of our candidates, she voted for Justin Trudeau. So I told her, you wasn't the only one in Alberta. But she voted for Justin Trudeau for a balanced budget in 4 years. So we have some people who voted Liberals for free speech, for balancing the budget, for having policies that are fair for everybody. And they are coming with us. But the most interesting is in Newfoundland. In Newfoundland, we had an organization, our organization over there. It's all people that work for the NDP, vote for the NDP for the last 10 years. And I asked them, what are you doing in my party? And he said, Maxime, there's two important policies that the NDP won't speak about it, and they don't want to change the status quo. And they corporate welfare, and they said it's not fair. It's not fair for the small business owner. They will never receive a big grant from the federal government. And the NDP won't speak about that. Because in Southern Ontario, they have a lot of members and unions over there that are working for GM and big corporations like that. And so if we want to end corporate welfare, GM won't receive any subsidies from the government. So the NDP, they don't have the courage to take a position on ending corporate welfare. And they said also the other subject is the cartel in supply management, milk, poultry, and eggs. It's not fair. It's a regressive tax on the poor. People are paying twice the price for these products, and when you abolish that, they will save, a Canadian family will save $400 a year. So that's important. And because of these two policies, they said, we are with you, and we believe that you will always fight for that. And I said, yes, you're right. But so we can attract people from the NDP, from the Liberals, but also people who didn't vote at the last election, and that's important. The participation rate at the last election was 70%. 70%. So 30% of our population didn't vote at the last federal election. And I have a lot of them that are coming and are saying, you know, Maxime, it will be the first time that I will vote at the federal level. And we have a lot of these people that are fed up with the way that the system is working, with the established political parties, and with the lifetime politician. So we can attract different kind of people, all united under our four principles: individual freedom, personal responsibility, respect, and fairness. And they know that our policies are in line with these principles, and our goal is to be out there and to speak about what we believe, and the more we speak, the more support we'll have. So that's not so true that, you know, we are splitting the vote. You know, I can agree with you if all our supporters were former conservative, but because there are about 35 to 45% of them, our goal is not to split the vote. Our goal is to be the real free market alternative, the real principle alternative. And I didn't change. It is the Conservative Party of Canada under the leadership of Andrew Scheer that changed. They did change, because Andrew Scheer said, under my leadership, now the Conservative Party of Canada is a centrist, pragmatic political party with lots of ideas for a lot of people. That's what he said when he did an interview with Sun Media last November, last year. The translation: I don't have any vision for this country. I don't know what I believe in. I will do a lot of polling to know what you want to hear, and after that I will repeat it. So they're doing politics based on polling and survey. I was there, I know what it is. When they have an idea and a new policy, after that they're doing focus group to know which word to use, to be sure that you will understand and it will be politically correct. That's not our way to do politics. Based on ideas, on principles, and I think that's why we are able to attract people from different backgrounds and political backgrounds and people who didn't vote at the last election.
Well, I find in Sarnia, being an iron worker, and I'm a union iron worker with the PTC. Yeah, well, this is the deal, right? The thing is that if you look at the Liberals and you look at the NDP, they're carrying a banner and their flag. It's gone a long way away from labor. To me, they fly the flags like you've got the unions and the stuff in there. But I mean, there's other opinions that are in the unions and the union trades in Sarnia. And to me, I think a lot of the people have to be quiet. Like, I know that there's a lot of stuff the NDP supports and the values that they have that I don't share. And that's rings a bell around the whole Chemical Valley. And I mean, I just feel like they're the emphasis on the trades and on ensuring, like when you have platform policies that want to get rid of our jobs, and they talk about these transition to green jobs, I'm sorry, but what are they going to do? Like, you can't tell the UA Hall, and even the Liberals, and it disappoints me. A lot of times these people back, their offices will back the Liberals, because it's easy to say when you're sitting in the big room with all the hors d'oeuvres and everything going, but when you're putting your work boots on, and you're going to work and you're hearing about them stopping pipelines and wanting to get out of the gas and oil industry, like this guy Trudeau, look what he did. He's made it so hard to put a pipeline to bring Canadian oil across the country into a town like ours, in a city like ours. How could I ever, as a tradesman, support that? Same with this green initiative. Don't get me wrong, I like the green initiative. I believe in environmental policy and stringent. We have to do it, but if you look what went on in Sarnia Lambton since the 70s, these plants and companies Sure, they have some stuff about them they need to improve, but they've come a long way, and they're pushing them, and pushing them, and pushing them, and that's my job. And those are the people I sit and eat lunch with jobs, and not to mention the community, like I was talking about on the way over here. We were looking at Suncor, and I mentioned United Way, and I looked at all the donations and the spin-off business that comes into this community, in this green push, in this, like, the climate emergency. The city, I was disappointed in the councillors. We got Bill Dennis. Bill, you voted against that, and I appreciate that, because to me, it's a slap in the face to the businesses that are in this community. Like, let's do the math. You push these companies out of Sarnia Lantern, and they go to a country with less regulation, and that's where they'll go. What are they gonna do? They're gonna pollute, and we're gonna have no jobs. So the best thing to do, to fight environmental, to fight for a clean environment, you have to have wealth. And Canada's unique because we have resources, and those are what bring us our wealth and feed our families. And if we're gonna fight our own income, what we make our money from, and we're gonna make ourselves in the poorhouse, to me, it doesn't make sense, especially putting pressure on the companies. They go down south, way down south to another country where there's no environmental regulation, and they're gonna pollute more. So we've got them here, and this virtue signal stuff that goes on about the environment, that's all feel good and say kumbaya. Like, I watched it, and it's true. They had the strike down there at the bridge, and there was a councillor strumming his guitar, and everybody was jumping around and feeling all great about it. But the reality is, if you're sitting up in a boardroom and you're watching your local government move towards this out of the petrochemical industry and the heart and soul of Sarnia, you're going to ask some questions. And I know that sounds a little bit rough to some people, but that's how I view it as a tradesperson. I'm not voting for a party that wants to fight against pipelines. I'm not going to do it. If you're in the trades and you vote and you say, oh no, Trudeau's not going to do that. He's pandering to make sure everybody votes for him, and then he's going to give us the money. No, they're not. They are moving towards getting rid of our economy that drives Sarnia Lantern, and that's a problem for me. So that's why when I read the PPC platform, and I know that Max is pro-pipeline, I've been pushing it. And you know what? Anybody that's in the trades in Sarnia, if you're a business manager, I'm talking to all the members, and I've been talking to them. And my yard signs are going on your members' lawns, and I'm going to keep doing it because I want to have a job. And I know the spin-up that happens in this town from these industries. And any party that wants to go against our economy in Sarnia, I'm not going to go for them. I'm going to go for somebody who's standing up for it, and that's our party, the CPC.
If I may, speaking about pipelines, it is easy for Andrew Scheer and a politician like Andrew Scheer to speak for pipelines in Alberta, or maybe here also. It is a little bit tougher for a politician to speak about pipelines in Quebec, in my own province. So Andrew Scheer is the typical politician. Yeah, pipeline in Alberta. And when he's in Quebec and he has a question, do you know, Mr. Scheer, that the Quebec government said there's no social acceptability for pipelines in Quebec? And the Quebec government is 100% against new pipelines. So what are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to build an energy corridor, because the word pipelines is not popular. So he's using energy corridor. They didn't focus group. You can use pipeline outside Quebec. You can use the word abortion in Western Canada, but don't use the word abortion in Quebec. And don't use the word pipelines in Quebec. Energy corridor. So when he's in Quebec, he's speaking about an energy corridor. And he's saying that I will have the agreement of the Quebec government and I'll be able to build my energy corridor. But the journalist, I think you were a little bit more aggressive. So what Mr. Scheer, we don't want any pipeline in Quebec. So your energy corridor will have pipelines inside that corridor. And he said, yeah, but Quebec will be a not able to export their electricity. So we'll have electricity in the corridor. And that would be good for Quebec. But the journalist said, Quebec wants to sell the electricity to the south. And Ontario doesn't want, the government of Ontario at that time, maybe the Ford government changed, but at that time, the government of Ontario doesn't want to buy hydroelectricity from Quebec. So your energy corridor from east to west won't work. But what I'm speaking about pipelines in Alberta. And yes, I have, yeah, Bernier. And I'm speaking about pipelines in Quebec, in French. And that's my role as a politician. And I said, I had the same question. Mr. Bernier, there's no social acceptability for a pipeline in Quebec. I said, I know that, but I don't agree with that. That's what the Premier of Quebec said. I think that Quebecers know that it's safer to transport oil and gas by pipelines than by train, safer for the environment, because we had a huge tragedy 8 years ago in Lac Mégantic. Safer for the environment and safer for the population. And you know what? We already have pipelines in the ground in Quebec. Downtown Montreal, my God, the oil and gas coming from the port of Montreal to go to the Montreal Pierre-Elliott Trudeau Airport, it is transported by a pipeline. Downtown Montreal, my gosh. So we can build pipelines in this country in 2019 that will be safe for the environment and safe for the population. And you know what? It is important for the prosperity of our country, but it is also important for the unity of our country. When you have people in Alberta, the population over there, 25% of them, between 20 and 25%, they're saying that they're looking at the separation. If you want to be a real national leader, you must be able to answer their frustration and to have an answer for that. And we are the only party that having an answer for them. And I understand their frustration. And yes, I'm saying in Quebec in French that we must use the Constitution. If we don't have any agreement with the Quebec government or the BC government to build a pipeline, it is under the federal jurisdiction, and you can use the Constitution, section 9210. Doing that, you'll pass a bill with one paragraph saying that this pipeline, and you name the pipeline, is for the advantage of our country. And when you pass that legislation, automatically the federal government will have the full authority, the full responsibility, the full jurisdiction to approve national pipelines across our country. And by the way, the federal government used that power in the Constitution more than 300 times since Confederation to build national infrastructure. So yes,